How to personalize 1,000 cold emails with AI in seconds by using a tool that allows you to automate personalization at scale without sounding like a tone-deaf robot. Now, over the last 8 months, my B2B lead generation agency, levergrowth.io, have sent 1.8 million emails that have generated over 1,400 positive replies and have booked over 492 sales calls. And in that time, we've helped 24 agencies and B2B businesses create cold email campaigns that turn to 5 to 15 qualified sales calls every single month. Now, here's a couple screenshots from happy customers closing 5 deals. This is now 6. But if I were to teach you exactly how to get these results without spending hours manually personalizing your outreach, would that be worth a few minutes of your time? Now, if you do, and I hope you do, let's dive into it. After you've watched today's video, you'll have the exact plan to personalize thousands of emails with AI in seconds without spamming your ideal customers. What you'll learn today. So the old way to build lists and why it should be left in 2023. We'll talk through the new way to scrape leads by using a software that enables full AI personalization, lead filtering, and waterfall email enrichment without an army of SDRs or needing 50 plus software subscriptions. We'll talk through a step-by-step demo to build a list that accurately identifies a company's niche, their ideal customer profile, finding that company's CEO and enriching the CEO's valid contact information. And we can do that in seconds, not minutes. And we'll have a little bonus here at the end. One simple trick to make your AI personalizations 90% cheaper. So let's get into it. So the issue with data providers these days is that they're static and everyone has access to the same exact data. Static data has 2 major issues. One, it goes stale fast. So most industry standard data tools like Apollo, they're not the first party providers. So it's up to them to find and update that data. It's typical to see contact information degrade at a quarterly rate. Yeah, so this means that the data that you paid in January is probably not going to be good in May. It also can just be straight up incorrect and wrong. So data pulled from Apollo will often be labeled as valid. It has a tendency to bounce at a substantial rate. So this means that you're wasting resources on bad leads or just hurting your deliverability. Both are going to be bad situations that you want to avoid completely. Not to mention, if everyone with $100 in the bank can afford a tool like Apollo, which is about what the monthly cost is, your lists are going to get burned fast by noobs and spammers. There's really nothing like fishing in a red ocean, right? This means you need to differentiate your data. So you need a way to get highly specific, up-to-the-moment data that you can use to stay hyper-relevant, hyper-specific, data that's based on actual buyer intent. The old way consists of basic static data filtering. So historically, this research has always been done by SDRs doing manual research or using a provider like Apollo. In this case, the SDR is going to go and build a list with using basic data filters, and then they're going to send a shit ton of emails to that broad list. Some will land in the inbox, some will land in the spam folder, some will get deleted. Most of the messaging is going to be mass market, so these people are getting peppered with emails. Here are just a few examples of those filters that you've probably seen. Employee count. The employee count filter is based on the number of employees at the company. You have industry, which lets you focus your search by specific industries or keywords. You can use this filter to find contacts and trades that match your ideal customer profile. Now, location data will obviously allow you to focus on specific geographic areas like continents, states, or even cities. And job postings, this is a filter that's going to allow you to filter companies currently hiring for open jobs within a specific time frame. You can use this filter to understand if companies are growing or not. This data can be hit or miss, but is usually a pretty good indicator. Another one here is funding. So in Apollo, you can use the funding filter to figure out what companies have recently raised funding or within any sort of given time frame. But a pro tip here, if you're looking for the best in class data tool for understanding like funding data, it's going to be Crunchbase. It's your best bet, and it's going to have very comprehensive data. Okay, so let's talk through an example. So say your SDR understands the value of relevant messaging. They know that you need to get in the inbox, you need to have something that's of value that the prospect actually wants, a pain that they're actually looking to solve. They use the basic filters to build their list. There's nothing wrong with these. They should be used, but ultimately they want to go a step further to create a hyper-personalized message. Studies show that personalization, when paired with a relevant message, is going to substantially increase your performance and your interested reply rates. So this is all great, except for the fact that it takes 15 minutes for the SDR to do their workflow, which includes checking LinkedIn, going to the prospect's company page, seeing what they offer, making sure it's in their target market, doing research on that prospect, and then only then writing the personalization. Not to mention the time that it takes to also go filter the list, scrape the list, validate it in the first place. Or your SDR's resources are best used doing their highest leverage tasks, which are dialing prospects and following up with leads. So you choose to skip the personalization, mash the phones all day. The strategy is going to work for some, and it can be effective. The thing there, though, is smile and dial strategies come with a cost, and that cost is typically going to be high churn. And so you risk losing the talent that you spent all this time nurturing. And so not to mention, you're going to be completely missing out on the consistent lead flow that comes from a well-oiled cold email campaign. So you might be thinking, there's got to be another way to do this, right? Enter clay.com. So this is an amazing software that allows you to hyper segment your lists based on specific intent data. So Clay is a workflow tool that combines every single major data provider into a single data table, so you can manipulate that data based on whatever kind of intent filtering or any kind of outbound personalization that you might think of. This tool is specifically used for outbound teams, but it can also be used for inbound use cases. Like, for example, a contact fills out your contact me form on your website. You can use Clay to then enrich the lead with phone number, other relevant information about them to do some personalized outreach, so then your SDR can go and do reach outs to qualify. So we'll use Clay to stand out from the spray and pray cloud, right? So this is the same crowd who are rinsing and repeating the same mass market data as every other completely beginner cold emailer on the planet. So the platform has access to dozens of best-in-class data tools, its own AI agent that will actually even surf the web doing tasks and more to create super segmented, intent-driven lead lists. Formerly, this used to take 5 different softwares and an army of SDRs, and you'd have to manually go filter and scrub this intent data. This basically means you're going to have to rack up software bills. This is before you've even validated your hypothesis around your value proposition, your outreach method, your messaging, finding that message market fit. So not to mention the time and effort that's spent by your SDR when they could otherwise be doing their high leverage activities like dialing, responding to leads, writing new email copy. So that's not ideal, right? But that's the power of Clay. Really, your only limit here is going to be your imagination and also your skill to operate the platform. There is a bit of a learning curve, but once you figure it out, it's incredibly powerful. So let's talk through a couple Clay lead scraping workflows just to give you some ideas around how you can build an intent-based list. So total addressable market analysis, companies who are using Shopify or have a Facebook pixel, see which specific job title the company sells to, companies who use a specific technology by department, companies who are similar to one of your case studies, companies who are hiring for a specific role like SDR, sales manager, media buyer, anything really. Companies who don't have a specific role in-house, so that say they don't have a CMO, they don't have SDRs, they don't have sales managers, you can find those. Companies with certain number of employees in a specific department like sales team, HR team, marketing team. Companies who have posted on LinkedIn about a specific topic, Or you can also do lead scoring workflows based on a certain set of criteria that you've preset. So your specific use case is likely going to be different. It could include one of these or multiple, but this is just to give you a sense for what's actually possible with the platform, because you don't really know what you don't know after all, right? So let's dive into an example to show you how to actually build out a table in Clay. So for today's enrichments, we're going to build out a Clay table with these 8 steps. First, we're going to find SaaS companies with a funding round in the last 6 months. We're going to enrich companies using HubSpot technology. We're then going to enrich for the company's description. We're going to normalize for the company name for formatting purposes. We're going to enrich the company's industry and niche. We'll then enrich the company to find their target ideal customer profile. We'll then enrich the company to find that CEO. And then we'll actually go and find their valid contact information all in one table. So here's the step-by-step workflow. I'm going to walk through screenshots of this process, and then I'm actually going to log into the platform and click around and show you what's going on in there. So the first step here is SaaS companies with funding in the last 6 months. So why is this important? Recently funded companies are in growth mode. They've raised money for some initiative or reason. Either way, more funding means that the business is expanding in some way. So there's a few ways to capture this data. As I mentioned, you can go to Apollo, but I personally have a subscription to Crunchbase. I think it's an awesome tool, and it's going to be your best bet to pull down funding data. So you're going to log into Crunchbase, you'll put in your search query, then you'll scrape the list using a data tool like Instant Data Scraper. Once you have your company funded list, save it down as a CSV and select Import Companies from CSV inside clay.com. So that's what it's going to look like here. Then we're going to enrich companies using HubSpot. So why is this important? Understanding the technologies used by a company indicates their potential to buy or need for a specific solution in the future. So Clay has an integration with a lot of different data tools. Builtwith.com is one of them. We can use that to find out what technologies companies' websites are built with. And so you can find any relevant technology, but for this specific use case, we're going to go with HubSpot. So to do this, you'll be in the data table, you'll go to the top right, select Add Enrichment button at the top of clay.com, and then you want to select the Built With Enrichment. From here, enter your prompt by mapping the correct company URL and include the technology you'd like to search for. So you want to save this down and run your rows. Now you can filter out any company that does not use the relevant technology. So this is what the prompt will look like. So you plug in HubSpot here, your domain name here, and then this is what it's going to come out with. So you can see this company does not have HubSpot. These companies do. So if they don't have HubSpot, then you can just choose to not do any further enrichment because they're not going to be qualified. So a credit saving pro tip with Clay, you buy credits every single month. And so every single run will actually use a credit. So if you want to save on credits and prevent accidentally running an entire column before you finalize your prompt, you can turn off auto update columns. This is going to save you a ton of credits, especially as you have to test different prompts to get those desired outputs. And so this is how you would do that. And just turn it off. Next step, we want to enrich for the company's description. So why is it important? The company's description is going to be the cornerstone data point in our enrichment process. So we can use this data to understand the company's specific industry, their service offering, their specialization, their ideal customer, and way more than that too. So this is going to be a very high leverage enrichment because you can create basically an infinite number of personalizations using this data. So by pulling a list from Crunchbase, it's going to include the company's description, but there are a bunch of ways that you can do it inside of Clay. You can enrich a company's description if you already have an Apollo API key. You can use the internal enrichment there. You can use their native LinkedIn company enrichment, which will be charging you a Clay credit, or you can pay somebody to manually do it. Go find a VA, have them go do that for you, or you can use Clayagent to find the data. So in this case, you can use Clay credits or OpenAPI. For this example, I'm going to use Claygent to show you how to enrich a company description. So Claygent is a clay.com native AI web scraper that can research basically anything you want on the planet. It will go to any website, it'll go find any data and then summarize whatever you want on that website. And then it'll report back with a specific output that you can engineer the prompt around. So Claygent's going to cost 1 credit per line, but it costs a lot less if you connect Clay with your open API. So I'm going to show you at the end as a little bonus for sticking around. There's a couple ways you can go about this to actually pull down the company description. If you have the LinkedIn company URL, you can use Claygent to pull the company's description directly from LinkedIn. I like to use this because it's pretty succinct and it gives a clear explanation of the company's purpose and service and product. Another no-brainer is also just use the company's domain. You can test to see whichever you prefer based on the prompts that you're using, but those are 2 good options. And so to do this enrichment, add a new enrichment inside of Clay, then select Claygent, and then you can use this prompt here. So it's a pretty simple one. Just visit company LinkedIn URL and return the company's description. The output should be the company's description and nothing more. And so this is what you will actually see as the company description. And then if you click into it, it'll give you some detailed results. And this will give you context into the reasoning, the confidence level, how much it actually costs, and all that good stuff. So now we want to normalize the company name. So why is this important? When doing outreach, it's a really bad look to reference a company name in an email and have it show up like all uppercase Apple Inc. or Microsoft Corporation. Like that doesn't sound like a human. So there's a greater chance that they're going to just think it was automated and mark it as spam or delete it. Yeah, so it immediately raises the prospect's resistance and indicates A, you probably don't give a shit about them or their company, and B, you're sending automated mass messages. So we're going to normalize company names to solve for this. So now let's make our data look nice. So Clay makes it super easy to format your data in any way you can think of. It's basically Excel on steroids. When a company name shows up like this, the GmbH, you can want to get rid of it. You can use an AI formula generator to do this very simply. So here's the prompt you can use. You literally just click into create AI formula and you type in what you want and it will actually give you a formula that will normalize the name of the company exactly how you want it. So next you want to actually enrich for the company industry and niche, right? So why is this important? You can use the exact industry the company is in without having to rely on the broad industry filters like information services or marketing and advertising. So this allows you to get super specific in your messaging. And so the thought is if you can call out a specific niche in an email, then you're going to have a much better chance of having the message land with the audience versus a broad message, right? So if I'm a roofer, I think it'd be more relevant for me to get an email talking about how I'm, in the roofing industry versus somebody just saying, hey, like I saw you were in the greater home services industry. So you can use Clay's integration with ChatGPT to create a prompt that will return the industry. You can also include industry exclusions if you want to avoid targeting industries that you know for a fact are going to be bad fits. To do this, select the ChatGPT generate text enrichment and enter the below prompt. To test your prompt, scroll to the bottom of the enrichment pop-up and select try on 5 rows free. Then you can tweak your prompt to ensure you get your intended results. So this is a prompt that you can use. You can say based on the result, the domain name and the company name, give me the broad niche this company is in. The output should be less than 4 words and should only be the industry. Do not return things like the company name is in. Only return the industry. If the output contains the word software development or managed IT services, then return NA as the value. So you type this in and then these are the results that you get. It's pretty solid. So now we know the specific industry vertical of our target companies. Let's do some research on their ideal fit customer. Why is this important? If you can correctly identify your prospect's customer, there's a higher likelihood they will perceive you as someone who understands their business. If they think you understand their business, you're more likely to solve their problems, which will help increase your positive reply rate. Going back to the example about roofers, right? So you can call them customers, that'd be great, but you might also want to refer to them as homeowners, as their customer base, which is going to be a lot more relevant in terms of calling out exactly who it is they work with. So to do this, we'll just use the ChatGPT generate text enrichment for this. And so here's the prompt that you can use. So determine the job title or type of customer that this company usually sells to. Using the input as a guide for what they do, the input is this. Insert the company description, who gets the most value out of the product, and what is their usual job title. Give me up to 3 job titles or types of customers. Do not include any numbers or additional information. Return a comma-separated list of titles or types of customer. And so you get 3 different titles of relevant individuals. So let's recap so far. So up to this point, we've completed a company level analysis. We found that all SaaS companies with funding rounds in the last 6 months who are using HubSpot. We've then enriched the company data to get the company description to help us get hyper segmented. Now, a company list is going to be great as a basis for our outreach, but we still need to find relevant contacts that we can actually contact, reach out to, and book into meetings. I'm now going to show you exactly how to build the contact lists inside of Clay. So to enrich a company to find a CEO's info. So this is important. Like I just mentioned, you must find the relevant decision makers at the target companies if you actually want to start a conversation with them. And so we'll use the Claygen enrichment for this step. So this is a prompt. Type into Google the domain name and CEO and give me the person's full name of the CEO as the output. If you can't find the CEO, search for owner and the domain name and give me the person's full name of the owner as the output. If you can't find the CEO or owner, search for domain name president and give me the person's full name of the president as the output. If you can't find the CEO or owner or president, search for domain name partner and give me the person's full name of the partner as the output. If you are struggling to find any contact, type in domain name, company name, CEO, founder into Google and only give me one person's full name as the output, nothing more. If you can't find anything or are not at least 75% confident, put NA as the output. So credit to Alex Berman and Cody Carnes for this one. This is a great prompt that gets you an output that is incredibly accurate. So what we're going to do to just make sure, we're going to do a quick Google search to test for accuracy. So this one here, we have Jeremy Burton of Observe, a data observability company. And so I did this little Google search here. You check him out, right? Observe Inc. He's the CEO of the company. They raised 115 million. You know, this looks insanely accurate, and Clay is really good. So next, we want to enrich the CEO's valid email address. We know the guy, so now we want to actually be able to reach out to him. So name is great. We still need the prospect's email. With Clay, we can use multiple data sources as a waterfall to find the relevant contact information. To run a data waterfall, you will run a query across numerous data sources looking for the contact information. If the data isn't found in the first provider, then a query will run for the second provider and so on. This will help you max out your total addressable market and potentially even double your list size. Doubling your list size of valid contacts gives you more opportunities to make more touches, which ultimately gives you more opportunities to get more meetings, make more money. So let's find them with Clay's email finding integrations. So you'll start with Prospeo and then work your way through the other data providers. It's recommended that you use your API key if you're already paying for the data. And so use your enriched name and company domain name to get your results. So this is the prompt, how you plug it in there. And so once you've done it for all these different data tools, this is what your waterfall will actually look like. So for example, we checked with Prospeo, they didn't find this one. And so then drop contact was searched. They didn't find it in drop contact. They looked in Datagamma and then so on and so forth. So you'll build out your list using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different data providers in just one single spreadsheet. All right, cool. So now that we've gone through this, I'm going to go into Clay and click around and show you kind of what's up. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller. Alrighty, so let's get into it. This is Crunchbase. The way you want to do this is you just go advanced, you go to query builder. So let's build our list. This is pretty cool. So you can just select whatever your filters are. There's quite a few. You have your basics, you have your industries, all that good stuff. So let's click into this. We'll start with industries. Industries, we'll type in SaaS. So it'll give us all that. So we have 3 million results. Search that. It's going to pare it down quite a bit. All right, so we're at 35,000 SaaS companies. Now, all right, let's do funding now. So type in funding, funding date, last funding date. And so we'll say like 6 months ago. Yeah. So then you'll want to pull down the instant data scraper, scrape that list. So assuming we've scraped the list, we have a CSV, we've imported it. Now we're going to be in Clay. So this is kind of what Clay looks like. You can see this is the list. It's already been built out. We have 954 rows, pretty much in line with this number here, which we scraped. And so I've hidden quite a few columns, but these are our main ones. So we have company name, you have your funding amounts, you have your funding round, you have your Crunchbase URL. They give you some various like other filters. And then this is the Crunchbase company name. So this is the data that we were given by the scrape from Crunchbase. Now let's click into some of these enrichments. So the first one that we did is going to be the built with integration. So we click into that, you go into the domain name, HubSpot, you hit save, and then what you can do to like select how many people or how many columns you want to run, you can, choose the number here or just select all of them and it'll tell you how many Clay credits it will choose to run. So like we said here, we didn't get any keyword matches. So, what you could do next would be just filter out anybody who's blank here. That would be the next step. So then we did the company description. So pretty simple, right? You just go here, edit column, and in this case we use our own API key, and then this is the mission for the Clayagent web scraper. You hit save, and then you choose however many runs you want. Oh, another thing to do here is you can actually cap the cost. It's rare that you'll have anything over a cent, but if your prompt is super long and it takes a lot of credits, you want to just avoid overspending because it'll just continue to search and run tasks in the background if you're if it gets stuck. So what you really want to do here is just kind of max that out at whatever your comfortable rate is. But anyway, like if you think about this on a line by line, you can look at the cost here, and it's a fraction of a cent versus like running this as running it as like a Clay credit, which that costs way more. So just another kind of tip there for you. So then here we have the company normalize formatting. So this is what it looks like. You just click into the use AI and you literally just type in what you want. And then you hit save and it automatically does it all for you. And you got the company industry. This one again is going to be the ChatGPT text enrichment. So you just plug in your prompt. You can try it on 5 rows. You can choose however many to run. And then you can also up the creativity level for this one, change the different models, like different ChatGPT models. And then also, there's some additional, and that's how you would want to click around on that. So for this one, we got customer job titles. Again, we're using the ChatGPT. And so what you got here is the prompt. You can click into some settings, similar kind of stuff, nothing crazy, nothing different. But as you can see, right, like observe and the customer job titles are all going to be like DevOps, SRE types, IT ops. So what we'll do in a second is just check for accuracy there. So again, right, we got Jeremy Burton, the CEO. And yeah, this is the prompt. You can choose the max cost on the Clayagent. And then you just select it and you pick however many you want to run. So in this case, just to kind of save some credits, I ran this waterfall. And so, yeah, we pulled out, we got email addresses for literally all of the first 10, which is pretty impressive. And, the next step here would be to validate it. Then you can export this and put it in your sending tool. And there you have it. This is a fully fleshed out list, accurate contact information. You got customer job titles. You got the company industry that's more detailed than just IT company. And then you got, what types of technologies they're built on, which is all pretty cool information. So let's see here, right? So if this is their result, and right, so they used to work with Snowflake, Splunk, Wavefront. So those are all like observability type companies, and they're talking about data and infrastructure, application and infrastructure, and then we enable engineers to spend more time coding, less time investigating incidents. So yeah, in terms of like who would actually be benefiting from a tool like this, certainly going to be the DevOps, certainly going to be SRE and IT ops. So again, that looks like pretty accurate. So back in this table, all right, let's talk a quick bonus for you. Like I said, I promised I'd give you this. So I had alluded to this throughout the presentation, but you can save 90% or more on your Clay credits by running enrichments with the Open AI API key. So I highly recommend doing this. This is going to make your Clay operations like infinitely cheaper and more economic. So I recommend doing this. I'm going to link this doc to the description below. Just follow this link and then follow the instructions to connect your API key from OpenAI into Clay. And there you have it. We now have a laser targeted lead list that you can use to reach out with accurate and relevant personalizations. This is built in seconds. And so this is the tech that you're going to need. Just want to give you some data here. Tech stack, we'll use clay.com to actually get these credits in here. It's going to be $147 a month. You need this level in order to do API access. That's going to give you 3,000 credits just straight up. And they just started rolling credits over, which is pretty cool. OpenAI API is very inexpensive. It's going to be much less than 1 cent per search typically. And also you can just max it out at 1 cent if you'd like. Crunchbase, it costs $49 a month. You can also just get a VA to scrape a list of Crunchbase or any other data source that you need to use as your main total addressable market list. And then we use smartly.ai for all of our sending. So if you want me to build this Clay table for you, or if you have any other workflow ideas that you'd like help with, or if you have any question at all related to cold email, subscribe to my newsletter, reply back and ask a question to me there. What I would suggest doing is if you have a Clay workflow, email it to me and I'll reply back with a relevant use case that's specific to your situation. If you do this, you'll get a bonus complete cold email setup guide that will show you the end-to-end process that we use to help 24 plus agencies and B2B businesses add 1 to 4 new clients every single month with cold email. Now, that's all for this video. I hope you found some value in it. If you did, I'd love to know a little more in the comments what you thought. If you hated this video, let me know what you want me to change. I'm looking for feedback to always iterate to give you guys the most valuable content on YouTube around cold email, list building, all this good stuff. Anyway, chat to you in the next video. Peace.